Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video. Today I'll be talking about two of the kill teams that I think are quite strong at the moment and ways they could be toned down for the betterment of the game as a whole. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment what you thought of the video. Do you agree with what I'm about to say, or do you have your own views on what should be done? Nothing should be done at all. And yeah, what else you'd like to see on the channel in the coming future. But with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So as you would have guessed from the video title, today I'm talking about the Pathfinders and the Kommandos for kill team. Now this was kind of why I did a tier list to kind of lead into this, just because I thought it'd be an interesting link with how I view the game at the moment, as well as so do a few number of other people as well. Now if you weren't aware, in my kill team tier list, I had, it was S tier to E tier, and the only two kill teams in S tier were the Orc Kommandos and the Tau Pathfinders, both bespoke teams for the game, which come in respective box sets for kill team. Now, it's interesting because when you look at tournament data, Orc Kommandos and Tau Pathfinders aren't dominating the game like Custodes were. Because if you looked at Custodes when the game first came out, for like 4-5 weeks, or I think it was 2 months, something like that, Custodes had a win rate of like 78%, nearly 80%. They weren't just winning most tournaments, they were winning all of them, and not just coming first, they were coming first, second, and third. Like top 4 was just full of Custodes. And, you know, Games Workshop hit them in the balance FAQ in October, which was surely needed, and just toned them down a lot. Now, with Tau Pathfinders and the Orc Kommandos, you don't really see that similar dominance. The closest thing we have to that was like Orc Kommandos won Warhammer World, taking top 4 because post FAQ, and then with Chow Naf released in Bad Moon Cafe, Tau Pathfinders came first, second, and fourth. But then if we look at tournaments from such as like Spain, Pathfinders and Orcs are doing well. The only issue is they aren't as dominant because there's more people playing them, which is bringing down their overall win rate. They're still doing exceedingly well, but they're not as dominant as Custodes are. And what I'm trying to say is basically, you know, I could be overreaching, because this is basically coming from my opinion of these two kill teams' powers. And it'd be totally fair for you to say Games Workshop doesn't need to do anything because they're not as dominant as Custodes. And what I'm saying is, even though they aren't as dominant as they are when compared to old Custodes, I think these two kill teams they need some sort of way to be toned down. And I'm not saying nerfed, just is a nerf, but, you know, not made unplayable, just toned down so they're more comparable to every other kill team at the moment. So what I'll do with this video is basically talk about how I would tone them down while still giving them their flavor. So, you know, they're still good. They're no longer just overpowered. And yeah, that's just how I would do things, and I'd love to hear how you would do it. But let's just get on with it. So I'll start off with, the Orc Kommandos. Now, what makes the Orc Kommandos so good is they have like a good set of specialists. They are all 10 wounds. Their leader has 13 wounds with a 4-up save. Everyone else has 5. They have great ability to charge from conceal, so they don't need to change their order. It's like Sneaky Gits, it's their faction rule. And, you know, they have the Grot, who is just amazing, like can cover from one point of the board to the other as long as it can see where it's shooting, its grip lock to, not grip lock, like hook shot. And they're just a very flexible kill team. As I said, they do shooting really well and do combat really well. They've got a great selection of tac ops as well as stratagems. So from strategic ploys to tactical ploys. And so you may be asking what makes them so good, John. And, you know, Glass Half Dead kind of brought it up as well. But the problem with the Kommandos is one of their stratagems called Just a Scratch. And this basically allows you for 1 CP, once per turning point, to ignore any damage from any single hit. And what this effectively does is change your Kommandos from being 10 wound models to anywhere up to, I think like the most you can do in a single attack is 7 damage, like a Custodes Spear on a crit. So you could effectively turn a 10 wound Orc Commando to like a 17 wound Orc Commando. And the power is you can ignore any hit. So the problem is, if you don't use it, your opponent is in a situation where the only way they can kill you is to either overkill you, or dedicate 2 operatives to kill one of your orcs. And you may think, oh, that's not a huge problem. But when you're playing kill team, there comes a point where you have like key trades where you send an operative to go, I'll clear out that point, so then the rest of my kill team can move up. Or I don't have to worry about that. Or like, now I'm contesting this objective. Because it's very crucial for objectives like Master the Terminals, where you only have 4 objectives, or even Seize Ground, where objectives are limited and have to be activated to be wasted effectively. Because you can they can, with a stratagem, deploy a boy up into the board, and then you go, okay, I've got priority, I'll just charge him, because either I'll contest it or I can kill the orc. But all of a sudden, let's say you get 3 hits, and the orc commander gets 4 hits. You hit, they parry one of your other strikes, and then you go, cool, I've done 5 damage, I'm about to kill you with 5 or 6, and then they go just a scratch, because they've already got more hits than you, and even then, even if they don't kill you back, they've tied you out, so then they can activate, kill you, and then claim that point. And that's the way it's mainly used, but it's just any key engagement that you need against the commandos, they have that control over. So that's one of the big things. And the other thing is dynamite. So what is dynamite? So it's one of their equipment upgrades that you can take, which is 4 equipment points. So it's blast wipe, so 2 inches. It's 4/5 damage with indirect and AP1. So it's really good. It's like a grenade. Oh, and it also has unwieldy. So when you shoot with it, it costs 1 extra action point to use. So on its own, it's fine. They've got the Breacher Boy, who they basically put this on, who can ignore terrain that's black or less thickness, so 1 inch. So he just runs through with +1 APL. The way it breaks is partly because they can take 2, and you can redeploy forward 2 operatives, so you can already have 2 on the board. But the other way is how it currently works with the Daka Boy. So it's something I always use as well when I play Commandos, is Daka Dash. So Daka Dash lets you do a shoot action and a dash action in any order for 1 AP. So then you put the dynamite on the Daka Boy. So Daka Dash goes from being 1 action point to use to 2 because of unwieldy. And then if you give the Daka Boy an extra action point from like the knob or the comms boy, that Daka Boy can then move red, so 6 inches, then dash blue, so another 3, or shoot first and dynamite. So the dynamite goes from having an effectively, well, normally even then you couldn't move and shoot it. You could either shoot it or you would need to get an extra AP. But adding an extra blue, so 3 inches to the dynamite and being able to use it twice, lets you just basically hem in the opponent. And you can kind of catapult it turn 1. But the best way to use the double dynamite is to kind of fluke out your opponent that you're going for double dynamite turning point 1. But what you really do is use it in turning point 2 to just crush them on like key points. Like if you can get it turning point 1 when they're boxed in their deployment, that's amazing. But being able to drop 2 dynamites in 1 turning point or even stagger out, it lets you control the board far too good in a kill team that can already charge from conceal and redeploy forward 2 operatives outside of their drop zone. So I think the best way around it would be either like, I think dynamite has to go down to just you can only take it once, and the Daka Boy, his Daka Dash should only work with his Daka Gun because it makes sense. I think it was just like a unseen loophole, because just adding 3 extra inches to the dynamite, making it go from 12-inch threat range to 15 on the 30 by 22-inch boards we play is just too much. It's like just too much range. So being able to limit it to 1 and not work with the Daka Dash, because even if, let's say, they limit dynamite to 1, you can still take stick bombs, so you can Daka Dash with stick bombs. And I just feel like the Daka Dash interaction isn't intended. So that could be covered in like an FAQ or something. But I do think dynamite should be limited to 1. And then for just a scratch, I think, I've been discussing with my friends and they've been saying like, oh, you make it like once per game. But I think I would prefer just making it cost 2 CP. You effectively make it cost once per game. But with 2 CP, you know, you get free CP at the start of the game. And if you save all your CP for just a scratch, you can effectively use it twice, first in turning point 1, then in turning point 2. So it's that fair trade-off. Because even then, it would actually allow Commando players to experiment with other stratagems that they have. Like, you know, Daka is always used. But, you know, they've got like their dash stratagem and their melee stratagem. So, like, it's just a nice... I think it would be like 2 CP would be a nice fix. So you could still use it and not be punished for using it continuously. You just have to dedicate more CP. And I think with those 3 fixes, I think Commandos would be fine. They'd still be really good because, as I said, they've got access to so many tools. With just a scratch, you can kind of plan out your game, and the double dynamite, you can literally go, okay, I'm going to box in my opponent turning point 1. Like, they're going to have to wait. They're going to have to force themselves to spread up until they kill my dynamites, or I use my dynamites, and then I can be way more aggressive on points than I need to be because I've got just a scratch and I already have 10 wounds and I'm 4/5 in combat. And I think those minor tweaks would still be really good with the Commandos, but it would stop them being so oppressive to play against. Because if you can't deal with their double dynamites, if you can't deal with their just a scratch, you kind of can't beat them. Really tough. And once again, it's a difficult thing because it's only really affecting the people using them effectively to win, like using the Commandos in such a way that they're gaming the game. But I think those fixes would be fine in a way that doesn't change the kill team for players who are just playing casually. And, you know, I think those would be fine fixes. And now we go on to the Tau Pathfinders, kind of like the growing boogeymen of kill team, because some people would say they're more oppressive to play than Custodes, and I kind of agree. So, as I've said before, the thing about Pathfinders, whereas Commandos you're limited to 10 operatives, which is like the average for the game, Pathfinders could have either 13 operatives or 12, depending if you take a recon drone, which counts as 2. But outside of that, all their guns hit on 4s generally, and they have 4/5 damage up to 4 shots. But they can take 2 weapon specialists on top of a 3rd specialist who's locked into 1 gun. But their biggest thing is they have a stratagem called a worthy cause, and they have Markolites. So Markolites work as an action point, and once you give an enemy operative a Markolite token, it doesn't remove. They only lose 1 Markolite token at the end of a turning point. So if you put 3 Markolite tokens on an operative and don't kill them, at the end of the turning point, it goes down to 2. Well, at the start of the next turning point, it goes down to 2. And they basically stick. And you would think, oh, you know, it takes a long time to put them on, but you can take a marker drone, which has an enhanced Markolite. So when it uses the Markolite action, it places 2 Markolite tokens instead of 1. And then you can take enhanced Markolites for 2 action points, 2 equipment points, sorry. So you basically get enhanced Markolites. And then there's an advanced targeting optics for 2 equipment points, which when you shoot it as an enemy operative that has a Markolite token, you count as having +1. So the effects of Markolite tokens are, if you have 1, you get 1 reroll. If the enemy operative has 2, you have no cover. If they have 3, you get +1 to your ballistic skill. If you have 4, you ignore the obscuring trait from terrain, such as, well, just obscuring in general, like with heavy terrain. And if you have 5, you treat their conceal order as an engage order, which only is ignored by operatives that have the rule where they are always counted on conceal, such as with Gene Stealers, as well as, I think it's Domino Field for the Harlequins. Now, I kind of already hinted at this in my tier list, but being able to dump 5 Markolite tokens or even 4 onto a single operative is quite easy. You can effectively do it in 2/3 activations. And being able to just ignore someone's conceal order, as long as you can see any part of the model, such as elbow, antenna, like gun, end of the gun, end of a sword, way too strong. It's also incredibly oppressive to play against because you, like, when you're shooting at someone like that, oh, I've invested to be concealed, so all I've done, you outnumber me anyway, so I've effectively moved this guy into the open just to die. And you just Tau player goes like, yeah, basically. Like, you get so many good buffs from having Markolites that 5 is just way too strong. Personally, I would like it if you removed the 5th option, so you just had 1 to 4. But, we shouldn't really be removing stuff. We should be kind of tweaking it so they still have access to it. So one good suggestion I've heard is if you have 5 Marklight tokens, unless you're behind heavy cover, you ignore the conceal order. And you may argue, you could just hide outside a line of sight, or, you should play with more heavy. But even then, playing with more heavy doesn't help you, because if you've got 5 Marklight tokens, you ignore obscuring anyway. And as long as you can see a part of the model, you just see them because of having 5 Marklight tokens. And it's really difficult to hide more than 1 miniature just completely away from the opponent. And usually it's behind a position where they're not playing any part of the game. So you're in this catch-22 of as a playing against Pathfinders, where you go move into the open to contest a point and die, or hide outside a line of sight, don't contest a point and live, but then lose the game and still effectively lose in both situations. And, Tau have so many access to rerolls with analyze from the recon drone, the body system command, where they can reroll 1 dice if they're within blue of another friendly operative, or just spending a CP on the command point reroll. Once you've got 5 Marklights on someone, they're effectively dead. And you may go, John, it's easy. You've just literally done 3 operatives to kill 3 or 4 operatives just to kill 1 person. And I would go, in games of kill team, that's actually hugely important. And because you have 13 to 12 operatives, you can do that twice or even 3 times a turn if you're really lucky. So that's actually not that bad, because if you're killing 2 key operatives a turn, along with just normal, other ways of shooting anyone who's exposed, just removing your opponent's key pieces with no way for them to interact is just really bad. And, it needs some kind of addressing, because it feels like you just can't win in some situations when you're playing against Pathfinders. And then their other big thing is a worthy cause. So worthy cause is 1 CP that triggers before or after the start of the firefight phase, but before anything starts, where if you pick one of your operatives that is within white of an objective or blue of an enemy operative, and you immediately get to activate with them. So what this allows you to effectively do is, if you can use the recon drone or just recon to dash onto an objective, then you can activate someone for 1 CP before your opponent can, all the time. And there's other contentious issues like I raised in the tier list video, where effectively, as what most people are playing as, you can activate the drone controller with a worthy cause, then the recon drone from the drone controller, then use analyze with the recon drone to activate someone else. So you're activating 3 operatives before your opponent. And if you're going first, you're activating 4 operatives before your opponent can. So you have a 12 or 30, a 12 operative kill team that goes down to 8 activations left. So you've out-activated your opponent. And if you don't kill them or they outnumber you, you now get overwatches, even though you may have started at the same size or more than them. And just being able to guarantee to always go first for 1 CP, way too strong, way too strong. And the fact it can trigger just beat by standing within white of an objective is too strong as well. It's so, it's like the icing on the cake. They didn't need it, but now they have it. It's just you kind of screwed, and the Tau player, the Pathfinder player, can dictate going first, because at their last activation, they could go, you know what, I'm going to run my opponent my operative within blue of you, because even if I lose priority, I'm going to go first anyway. And the only way it's really balanced if you're against another kill team that can go first at the start of the strategy phase, which is effectively Pathfinders or Novitiates if they are all on objectives. And it's just not really fun to play against. So, and the thing is, the way you need to address it is, I think it needs to be 2 CP, first off, flat has to be 2 CP, and you either change it so it doesn't work while you're within white of an objective marker, so it only works while you're within blue of an enemy operative. Because I like flat out, it has to be 2 CP because it's such a strong effect. It's way too strong to be 1. Even the Novitiate one is 2 CP, but their trade-off is it activates everyone, everyone on an objective marker, but the problem is they have to activate, and it's either a free shoot or free fight. and their shooting isn't too good, with what you can do with the Pathfinder kill team, like I think they should FAQ that a worthy cause doesn't work with the drone controller, because a worthy cause doesn't work with drones. So the moment you say it doesn't work with the drone controller, then it stops that chaining altogether. But it's just way too good. Being able to dictate that you're always going first allows what you can do with the Kommandos by just effectively going, okay, you have no tricks with like initiative, so I automatically go first every turning point. And if I win priority, I'm going first twice before you. And once again, it's another negative play experience for the kill team. So yeah, those would be my ways to fix it. Now, there's another question about equipment, which I'm unsure on, because outside of the enhanced, well, the targeting optic equipment, which counts you as having one more marker light token when shooting at someone with marker light tokens, and enhanced marker light, there's another one called EMP grenades. So EMP grenades are white for white blast. They have indirect again, 3/4 damage with, was it 2/3, but lethal is based on your opponent's armor save. So if they have a 5-up save, lethal 5-up. They have a 2-up save, lethal 2-up. And like, I definitely think enhanced marker lights should be free equipment points, and probably the optics as well. Or you make the EMP grenades free equipment points. But that, the equipment stuff I'm more unsure on. I definitely think the enhanced marker light should be free equipment points. If they don't fix, well, if they don't tone down having 5 marker lights, if they do, then like enhanced marker light is fine. But I kind of think they need to hit something in their equipment points, and a lot of people are complaining about EMPs, because if they take 5 EMP grenades, they don't care if you've got conceal, because remember, if they take the grenadier, they have 6 EMPs, or technically 7, because he has 2. So being able to throw like 6 in one turning point just massacres people, because even if you're shooting at people with a 5-up save, you're lethal 5-up. But for the equipment, I'm more unsure on. But that's my views on the Pathfinders. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, I should have prefaced this at the start, but I play both kill teams, and this is coming from someone who is like, oh, I always lose to these kill teams. This is why you should hit them. It's more because I play them. I know how oppressive they can be, as well as like, I know how it feels to be on the receiving end as well as abusing it. And as someone who is abusing all this stuff to win, I think it needs the things I've raised need to be hit for both the Orc Commandos and the Tau Pathfinders, just because it'd be hypocritical of me to say it wouldn't. Like, even if I was playing Custodes back when they were broken, it's like, I'm saying, oh, they're fine. We'll just wait for something else to beat them. I don't like that kind of way releases are done, in terms of like, oh, something's broken, we'll just wait for the new stuff to beat it. I do think it's much better if they address the kill teams in a way, not that like my way is the right way, but in my kind of idea, in terms of where you're not taking tools away from the kill team, you're toning them down. Because it's kind of like a rule of game design. You don't take stuff away because people go, well, I could do this, now I can't do this anymore. You tone it down. So like, you know, Custodes, well, they had something that was breaking the game. So instead of being removed, it was toned down in terms of their stratagem. So instead of being able to do any action again, they were allowed to either fight or shoot again at the end of the turning point. So they effectively get an extra way to attack. And they went from 4 action points to 3. So toning down the Kommandos and Tau Pathfinders in such a way, I think, would, as I say, not affect people playing casually too much, because they wouldn't be abusing the stuff that's making these two kill teams so strong. But it would help in competitive play, where you don't really have, and you shouldn't really expect that sort of like control. You shouldn't expect people to go easy on you, you know, like, oh, you shouldn't use the stuff that's strong for your kill team. Like, it's backwards thinking. And, you know, I think those tweaks would be really good. It would still keep those kill teams strong, and it would just keep with a healthy meta. Because as we can see at the moment, the meta's pretty good. Like, for kill team, everything's fairly, you know, you've got some weak stuff and some very strong stuff, but everything is kind of near the same level for now anyway, while the game is still so young. But seeing balance like this is pretty good. And I think, as I said, you know, just toning down those tools these two kill teams have is a good way to appeal to, well, like to fix the problems they have. Because, yeah, as I said, there's not really much tournament data proving their oppressiveness, but it's from the tournaments, obviously, I've played in, and like other people will attest as well. If you know how to abuse or play these kill teams to the maximum, you know these tools are just too good. And yeah, as I want to stress, it's not coming from someone who's just losing to these kill teams. It's coming from someone who's playing with these kill teams and dominating games with. Because, you know, you could say, oh, it's player skill, whatever, but then I'm definitely like using the tools that these kill teams have to exploit the game in my favor in ways that other kill teams can't. Such as, you know, with just a scratch from the Kommandos, double dynamite, or even just making go like, you can't hide from me because I can get 5 marker light tokens on you, as well as always activating before you because of a worthy cause. So yeah, you know, and I think, yeah, those changes, even though, you know, they're mine, I think they would be a nice fix, and, you know, the kill teams would still be fine. But that's it for the video. I hope you liked what I talked about today. Hopefully it's not too contentious. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment what you thought. As I said, I'd really love to hear what you think. Do you think these kill teams are too strong? Do you think my ways of trying to balance them are too heavy-handed or too light-handed? What would you like to see if you wanted to address these 2 kill teams? You know, I think Games Workshop are probably going to drop another FAQ hopefully soon, maybe January or February. So we'll probably see their own fixes soon. But this is just something I wanted to talk about because I think it would be interesting because, yeah, you know, as I said, these 2 kill teams aren't dominating like Custodies, but they are very, very strong and are effectively the 2 best kill teams in the game. But I hope you enjoyed this kill team video. I'll be back again next week with probably a different video, but I'll leave that for my announcement next week. So until next time, even if you can't agree with the power of nerfs, you always have to be afraid of the ability of an opponent's crit.